Okay, for today's project I'm going to be making a boot rack, and we're going to try and make a neat idea, just very simple storage idea. Not sure if I'll make it freestanding yet or whether I'll fit it on to the wall here, but we do want to get these boots out of the way, and we want to store them so they're upside down so bugs don't live in them and things like that. So I think that'll be kind of ideal if we can put them up at an angle like this so that they're more or less upside down, and should save a bit of space as well. So I'm just going to measure the inside of this boot now. These are the biggest boots. If I made them 15 inches long at the shortest point, that would be a good size. So let's go into the workshop and see if we can come up with a simple design for either a standalone or a wall-mounted boot rack. Let's see what we got. So really the first challenge was to find some materials that might do well for this kind of a project. I found some, I'm trying to use scraps for this because it's not really, doesn't have to be like super pretty or anything, but I'm going to use some scrap material to actually build this thing. And these are some leftover. They've got a bit of a finish on them, so they look kind of nice. So I'm going to use these. I like them because they're narrower. They've been cut. They've been cut so they're under 3 inches, 2 3/4 inches. They're perfect for the little rods that we'll use to hang the boots on. And then I just needed a piece of material for the backing, so I'm going to use some tongue and groove here. These are about 5.5 inches just about, so I might make a number of these. I might cut this into slats, stick them together to get a sort of a backing this way. I can secure them behind to some other scrap wood just to firm them up, and then I can secure these items. These we'll call them the boot sticks, the boot holders, can then be mounted. So let's make some cuts now and figure out what this is going to look like. Now it'll look a bit more finished if I zoom that off on the table saw, so I'll do that. So I've cut my back struts. This will be attached to that, but before I do that I'm going to actually attach these on first so that these don't interfere with where I can position the angled pieces, because obviously if I want one there, I'm not going to be able to get a screw through it after I've screwed it onto that, so I'm going to screw them onto the plates first. So I'm just going to figure out the centering on these and see we're about 4 inches, 8, 12, yeah. So I want to be 4-inch spacings on those, starting at, if I go with this side, if I go to 3/4 of an inch there, that's 2 inches. Alright, okay, makes sense. 2 inches. Okay, actually I'm going to go from the other side. Let's do that back. So 2 inches, 6, 10, 14, perfect. Let's get my speed square and just mark those this way, and then figure out the best place to put the screw so we catch these nice and strong where there's some meat. On this thing, so that would allow me to get a nice long screw in right there So it's actually further up than I anticipated, but that's just fine. Let's just do that. The poor man's marking gauge, right? And where those cross over, we'll put a hole. Like that. We're already there. Good. Piece of scrap there. I'm going to use deck screws to do this because they are going to be, they're good waterproof, they won't rust, last forever basically. Alright, so now the tricky part is going to be getting these lined up nicely on this side, and I think the way to do that, actually, why don't we, if I want that there, let's move that out of the way, I want that there, why don't I, one of my cleat cuts from an earlier project might be perfect for aligning that. Let's get one of my cleats. This is one of the offcuts from one of my cleat videos, but if I, look at that, if I put that there, clamp that on there, and use that, look. Oh yes, perfect. It's in just the right spot too, look at that. Let's clamp that on there, and that solves that alignment problem. Okay, yeah, I can work with that, align that in the center. Oh, go on, down you go. If you're going to go down, go down. Getting that stable. There we are. Alright, so let's get some screws, wind these puppies on. I might actually put a shorter one. I might make a second hole and put a shorter screw in these as well. I always like to have two screws. Never use one when you can use two, right? Is that, if I put that through there, is that going to, that's pretty close. That could but pop out. 2.5 would be perfect, but I just don't think I've got any 2.5. Now it's all 3. If I angle the screw up slightly, actually what I might do is put the short one in first, and then that'll hold it while I get give me more control when I put the long one in. I've got that. Got it. That's a little 2.5 would have been ideal there. I really don't like cutting it that close, and there's always the chance that it could split the wood in this direction as well, but looks like I'm getting away with that, so let's go to the next one here. Now actually, you know what, something else I could do, rather than going into virgin wood there, I could actually, these are great, these little bits, they have a tapered drill head, have a tapered drill bit on them like that, that we can actually run in there to help ensure that the screw starts at the angle I want. Alright, so the grain is less likely to divert that screw once it bites in. Alright, let's start the angled pilot hole. Make sure we don't blow out the front edge of that. There we go. And that one's got a knot, so I must have been. There you go, lovely. Right, that's all the boot posts, for want of a better term, set. Let's take that off. I could have glued them as well. I didn't bother. I don't think I need to, but there you go. Right, let's assemble the whole thing now. These bits here, what they're going to do is I'm going to sit them on these 2x6s here. So actually, whoops, That's not the next one. That's the top one. That's the next one. Like that. And of course this has no strength at the moment. Now I could have just screwed it like it is to the wall, but I'm going to snap the tongues if I'm not careful. Let's turn that over. Let's get that on a flat. Let's get that on these because it's going to be where ultimately it ends up. I'm going to screw it to those guys there, and then this thing gets screwed into the wall. There it is, we're now ready. There's our wall-mounted boot rack. Let's test it out. Big boots at the bottom, smaller boots at the top, but even the big ones can go, although they're sort of collapsing a little bit, but that's fine. So there we go, one boot rack. All that needs to happen now is that I'll go and install this in the mudroom there. So let's go do that now. Okay, so here we are back in the mudroom here, and I'm going to, I've just pre-drilled some holes here to catch these studs, and then we can put this more or less at any level we wish. I can bring it up to keep it off the floor a little. Let's do that actually. That'll bring it up to a more convenient height. Let's get a screw in there. Let's put it on up there like that. Get the screwdriver. Been doing a lot of left-handed work today, haven't I? Alright, let's do that. And we'll come this way, I think, so we're not tight on that corner. And there it is. Yeah, I should be able to get to this one. Okay, boot rack. Okay, big boots at the bottom. And should help prevent bugs from taking up residence. And then these shorter ones for the smaller boots on the top. On the top rack there. I can get them to go on. There we go. Oh, lovely. Okay, all right. There it is, one boot rack. And just one thing that occurred to me after I screwed this to the wall, I should have put a French cleat on here so this could be lifted off and moved around more easily. Maybe I'll do an upgraded version one day that's sitting on a French cleat that's just strapped across here, and that would be a perfectly strong solution. But anyway, there it is, screwed on for now. Easy to take off, 4 screws holding it, so I can move it anytime anyway. There you go. All right.